Good morning, YouTube. Do you ever have those moments in your life where, like, I'm gonna downsize? I don't need all these machines. I'm gonna live the simplistic life. Less is more. Well, that lasted in all but 2 months. I had sold my 300 CD and I only had one diesel. Life was calm, quiet, and collective. That has unfortunately changed because I got the bright idea to obtain another diesel. And I don't have a good reason as to why, except there's one aspect of this particular diesel that I'm going to show you that's pretty darn cool. So I'm back at the roster of having multiple diesels, and I don't really have a good answer as to why, but this fell into my hands and it was at a good price, so I couldn't say no. So today's video is to showcase this very car and what makes it different from the rest. And there's one aspect about it that, well, I've never had the privilege of owning before, and I'll give you a quick walk around. And you're probably wondering, well, what is this? Well, it is a diesel. It is a diesel, and it's a 240. So I have just went from 300 turbo diesel, fastest of the diesel series in the 123 class, to the absolute slowest. I didn't take steps forward, I took steps back, but in my thought is more in a more enjoyable driving aspect. And you're probably wondering, well, how can a 123 240D be more enjoyable than a turbo diesel? Well, I'm going to show you one thing as to why. You see that little object right in the middle? Looks different from the rest of most 123s. That's because it has a third pedal. It's a manual. It's a manual 123. Now, some of you European people watching this, you guys get that stuff like we have McDonald's over here. Like, manual transmissions in Europe is like a Starbucks on every corner. You're probably saying, whoa, big deal. But for us American Westerners, that right there is the holy grail. Well, not the dog, the manual. I mean, the dog's good, don't get me wrong, but the manual transmission, that's the holy grail. And so I bought a manual 123, and that's probably been my highlight for this month, because I've never driven a manual diesel. I love the 123s, but a manual makes it that much more fun. So it's a manual, and you're probably wondering, well, is it any different from my other 240? Which, if you haven't seen that video, scroll way back. You'll see a brown, giraffe poop brown 240 diesel, and that was my very first 240 that I owned. Fantastic car, but that one was an automatic. This is a manual. Is the manual better than the automatic? And truthfully, from a performance aspect, it still is slow as molasses. I'm pretty sure grandma in her Walmart buggy going down the aisle is faster than one of these. But that's not the point of these cars. The point of these cars is reliability. And this car in itself is the most reliable car that you probably will ever own. That's my opinion. All right, so back to the car itself. It's a 1977 240D with a factory manual. This is the interior, which in my opinion is immaculate. I got 200,000 miles on the odometer. Hello, Nugget. These seats were one of the selling points. Cloth centers with leather outsides. Let me unlock it here. But the interior is actually in fantastic shape. So is that headliner. So, I mean, the interior color matched with this, I don't know what you call this, canary yellow, and the hubcaps. I got this car at a price that I just couldn't say no. So I ended up with this car, and I've been driving it for probably the last 3 weeks. Probably put a solid 1,500 miles on this thing. I'm gonna pop the hood. So, for you wondering or new to the diesel scene, this is a 240. It is the slowest Mercedes 123 that they ever built. In fact, it's probably the slowest Mercedes that they ever built on the US market side. I know that they had like the 220, maybe even like a 190, which I can't imagine what that's like, if that'll even do a bicycle speed or not. But this is a 4-cylinder 2.4 liter diesel engine, non-turbo, An amazing part about these engines was they originally were designed for irrigation pumps. And then Germany's like, we think we're going to stick this in a car. So they did. And honestly, it's probably the most bulletproof, reliable car you will ever own. It also will be the slowest car you will ever own. But that's a good thing in my opinion. So this makes them easily, people say different numbers. I think this is roughly around 70 horsepower, if to be exact. 70 horsepower to lug this sedan down the highway. So we're gonna go take this thing for a drive, and I'll show you what it's like to drive a manual 123, because I got all giddy inside when I saw the Facebook Marketplace posting. I'm like, well, that's a nice 123, looks like a taxi. And then I go through scroll through the interior photos, and I like double took the first photo. I'm like, that looks like a stick shift. So there goes several grand. And you know, I got this for 2,900 bucks, and it's been an absolute blast. I've actually been putting more miles on this than my wagon, but it's not any faster than my 240D automatic. And I'll explain it to you when we go for the drive. What I mean, it's a momentum car, but it'll get you there. You just have to carry the momentum with it. And I think that's what makes it even more fun to drive. And well, yeah, enough of me chit-chatting. Let's go take this thing for a drive. Oh, and another aspect that I've never had in a 123, check this out. Oh, roll up manual windows. Everything's manual. Even you're a manual boop zone. So, starting procedure on a W123 240. Fine neutral. This is a 4-speed. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Eins, zwei, drei, vier, or vier. Yeah, German. It's terrible. And so we turn key on. Glow plug light is obviously warm. Fires right up. This has factory AC. It still works. Heater still works. Whoa, that is a lot of dust particulates. My God. And woo! Yeah, that's what you think it is. A cassette by Alpine. So, I mean, you are set. If I was to time travel right now, I would blend right in back to 1977. Minus maybe the cassette player, but I'm ready to go. I mean, people wouldn't even bat an eye. Well, they might with you because you're pretty good looking. So, to drive this thing, there's no RPM gauge. You are just based on the audio of what the engine is doing. I'm not sure if the GoPro audio will pick that up, but it sounds great. It's a great sounding little engine. And, you know, first gear's right there, clicks right in, and now, once again, if you are new to the W123 scene, everybody claims that these are the most reliable cars. And they truly are. I don't have any desire to own a new car because of how simplistic these are and how robust and the build quality and the affordability of owning a 123. Yes, it's a Mercedes, but honestly, parts for these are so cheap, and they're so cheap to keep on the road that it's a kind of a no-brainer to own one of these. That is if you like these style. Some people don't like going slow. I don't mind it. I drive fast and everything else. I got a Ducati for a reason, so my daily driver doesn't need to be Mach 2 capable. So yeah, I mean, it's just like every other 123 if you've seen it before. The ergonomics, the driver aesthetics, it's very driver oriented. Cockpit's easy to read. Even the cracks in the windshield are easy to read. You know, that lets you know at what tier of speed you're going. This is kind of like, okay, this is the first hill I'm climbing. I need to be in first gear. This crack right here dictates that I should probably get into second gear if I have enough momentum. Ooh, it drops speed. This crack dictates that, oh, I probably won't be able to go into third gear on this hill. Cracks in a windshield tells you everything. So neutral, she's idling great. Nice little brown. This sold me. It was this interior combo, color combo right here. Yeah, it's like the best ever. All right, so how fast is a 240? Well, it's not fast at all. And what I meant by it's a momentum car, it's a momentum car. I am floored right now. All right, there's 25. There's 35. We might hit 45, we might. Third gear. 35, 45. Here comes 50. 55 might come here in due time. There's 55, fourth gear. All right, now we're approaching 60 miles an hour. If you set the timer when I first started, you might be hitting the minute time frame now. All right, now we are just approaching 60 miles an hour. So it gives you a rough idea on the acceleration of these. But once again, this car was not built for speed. It was built to get you from point A to point B. And that's the whole premise of the 123s. They will always get you to your destination. And that's why I fell in love with these, is because you don't have all these fancy touchscreen buttons that, I don't know, I feel that that complicates the true aesthetics of driving. It's my favorite part about these cars is that all you do is drive. You enjoy the views. It makes you very present with the car. It makes you very present with the destination. That's what's always kind of made 123s appeal to me, is that aspect. Now, I'm at 6,000 feet, a pretty high altitude, so I imagine the performance capabilities of these would be much better at like sea level. I've never got a chance to drive one at sea level, but I think overall they would actually be pretty fantastic. I mean, I'm happy with it. I'm perfectly fine with it. Would I drive this up in the mountains all the time? Probably not, just because, you know, you got 77 horsepower to deal with and you're going up to elevations of 10,000 feet plus, it's gonna be pretty lethargic up there. But for a city driver and a highway cruiser and a road trip machine, these are absolutely fantastic machines. The biggest thing on longevity with these cars, especially this engine, is oil and coolant. They seldomly overheat, but when they do, and that temperature gauge is rising, which I'm going to show you that. So what I mean by that temperature gauge, that is the happy zone right there. Oh, I'm just hitting that horn. And it will run up in this area, but if you run it any hotter than that, honestly, heat is what kills these engines. Well, any engine in general, but especially these diesels, because they have to run exceptionally hot in order to fire their cylinders, being a diesel, and exceptionally high pressures. So you got both those aspects, and then when you're overheating an engine on top of that, that's why they always fail. The most common reason why these engines fail is because people run them out of oil, they never change the oil, or they run them too hot. If you keep all three of those aspects in check, this thing will run for absolute ever. You're probably wondering, is 200,000 miles a high amount of mileage on these? Absolutely not. I would buy one with 300,000, 400,000 miles. My wagon has 350,000 miles, and I would drive that tomorrow to New York without even thinking twice. Would I do that with a Hyundai Sonata? Probably not. So that kind of shows where my trust in these amazing machines is. So yes, oil, if you're looking at one of these, just make sure that it starts up fairly easy. These can be kind of a pain in the butt in the winter to start. Not always, but good set of glow plugs, a block heater, and a thinner oil like 5W30 in the winter usually will make these fail safe to start in the winter, including running anti-gel in the diesel tanks. I've had one gel up before and you're stuck. So those three things you want to consider as well when buying a diesel, especially if you're in a cold area. However, this guy, from a fun standpoint, is probably the most enjoyable little car to drive. I've always wanted a manual diesel. So that's why when I saw this pop up on Facebook Marketplace, I didn't even think twice. I'm like, I'm gonna go buy this, even if there's no doors on it, because I just wanted to feel what it's like to own and drive a manual 123. It's like part sports car, part daily driver sedan, yet the world's slowest car you'll ever own, mixed in all three of those. It's just this concoction of fun, which doesn't really make sense. How can you have fun with a superbly slow car? Well, you can, because when I say momentum, it's a momentum car. And right up here, we have a hill that we're gonna go hit, and I'll show you what I mean by momentum car. You also gotta consider there's a car coming up here. In your average modern day car, I would have hit the floor, I would have hit full throttle, and I would have gone up to speed just fine, but I can't. This isn't fast enough, so I have to wait till I have an ample gap behind me to get up to speed. And I'll show you what I mean by acceleration. Oh my God, is this, well, here comes another car. This is what I deal with. So, yeah, they're a momentum car. They're not fast at all. But when they're doing, oh, wow, what the heck's going on here? All right, everybody's just out and about today. That view right there is one of my favorites. So are these roads. That's the Boulder Flatirons. They're one of my all right, here we go. Now we got some ample room. All right, so here's first gear. Shifter is really long as far as throws go. Watch this. This is like Peterbilt semi-truck throw right there. However, all right, so we're doing 45. I got a little bit of a downhill right here. And here's the top of third, going into fourth. Honestly, so there's one aspect about the 123s. They drive absolutely fantastic. And what I mean by that is it is the most comfortable, smoothest driving sedan in comparative to modern day cars. This car still holds its own with how nice they drive. So we're coming up to a hill. I'm floored right now, doing 65. Now we're doing 60. This is a fairly big hill, so keep that in mind. And I'm at altitude. 58, 55. If I go down to 50, I'm probably gonna go into third gear, but she might have enough momentum here. So this is what I mean by momentum car. I would have hit this hill a little bit faster, knowing that I had this uphill section coming up. This is about the worst as it gets, to be honest. You know, this isn't gonna be your get to point B the fastest I can possibly get. This is reliability to get to point B. So that kind of just gives you a rough idea of what I mean by it's a momentum car. And then obviously we're back up to speed here and she accelerates just fine. Downshifts, well, it's a diesel, so it's got the world's heaviest flywheel. So heel toe is possible. You just have to be really heavy into the pedal itself. So that concludes what it's like owning the world's slowest manual Mercedes. I know there's slower Mercedes out there, especially in Europe, but for me, on the US side, I think this is quite possibly the slowest manual 123 Mercedes out there. So, and I love it. I love every bit of it. So if you are looking at one and you got any questions about them, post them down in the comment section, because I'm happy to answer any questions that you have with these amazing cars. And then also do me a huge favor, hit that like button and that subscribe button, because I actually have some more videos coming out, especially involving these 123s that would be really fun. I got an episode coming up with this. It involves a taxi, 123 taxi, and it's quite hilarious. So you definitely want to be around for that. And well, thanks for watching, and hopefully this gave you some insight on what it's like owning a 123 manual.